Did you ever hear why graham crackers were invented? You're going to think I made this one up, but the internet says it's true. Well, hey there, and welcome back to The Internet Says It's True, where every week we learn something that sounds like I made it up, but it's really true. Part of the WCBE podcast experience, available on all podcast platforms, also the NPR app. My name's Michael Kent. This is episode 226. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a rewind episode. Also, thanks for listening to last week's rewind episode about Terrare, the man who could eat anything. I don't know about you, but that's how I felt last week, the morning after watching the Super Bowl. If you want to become a Tizitor, you can do that at patreon.com/Michael Kent. That's the best way to support me here. It's easy and inexpensive to do so. You can decide whatever level you want to join at, and you can do that once again at patreon.com/Michael Kent. Also, we've got awesome t-shirts and mugs for sale. Pick one of those up to rep this podcast to your friends. You can find those over at theinternetsaysitstrue.com. Go to the merch section, and if you do that and you're a Tizitor, you get a discount. So that's cool. For this one, we're going back to the 1800s and the reason graham crackers were invented. My God. Okay. Here we have to start with something called the temperance movement. You probably know about this because of Prohibition. The temperance movement was the social movement that led the charge against the use of alcohol in the 1920s. To provide some background, colonial America was an alcoholic as fuck society. Drinking was an everyday thing for a lot of people back then. But when America started industrializing and people were required to run heavy machinery, it started being a bad look to be drunk all the time. Plus, these temperance movement folks were seeing what too much drinking was doing to families. Men were acting stupid, fighting, cheating, leaving their families, and people were also starting to get wise to the fact that it was just plain unhealthy. But for this one guy, he was an adherent to the temperance movement for a completely different reason. Sylvester Graham is who we're talking about. This guy was a Presbyterian minister and reformer who was big on the temperance movement because he was strictly anti-pleasure. And this was long before the Prohibition era of the temperance movement. He lived from 1794 to 1851, so this was a long time before. He was out there preaching against worldly pleasures in the early 1800s. Anything that provided pleasure was no good for this guy. So no alcohol. He was also big on veganism and eating whole grain bread. Now that sounds like I'm making a joke there, but that's true. Dude is referred to as the father of veganism in the US. And as cholera was sweeping through Europe, Americans were freaking out about it coming over here. The popular wisdom at the time was that the best way to beat cholera is to avoid vegetables, eat lots of meat, and drink heavily. But Sylvester Graham said no. No alcohol, no meat, and all the veggies. He thought people should eat the way that Adam and Eve ate. That was his reasoning. He thought that the reason that plague and disease existed is because people weren't eating in accordance to natural law. Not only that, he thought that an unhealthy diet led people to commit more sin, and he preached this everywhere. And the people who did what he said seemed to be less affected by cholera than the people who were listening to the doctors at the time. So it was like whoever was the Anthony Fauci of 1832 was saying, don't do this stuff. And this guy, Sylvester Graham, the Pat Robertson of 1832, was saying, no, don't do that stuff. Don't do the stuff that Fauci is telling you. And it worked for a lot of people. So he became super duper popular. Also, he was just a great preacher. Everyone loved to listen to Graham preach. And I know what you may be thinking at this point, and no, there's no relation between Sylvester Graham and Billy Graham. But he was that popular. The word spread that his advice was saving people from cholera, and it started a whole movement. He wrote a book called Treatise on Bread and Bread Making and spoke out in major cities about how to properly make bread. His movement became known as Grahamism, and they were vehemently opposed to masturbation. More about that after a quick break. Have you ever wondered why your work laptop has that little barcode sticker on it? Who put it there? And does anyone care if you just peel it off? Well, come to find out, that little sticker is part of a massively important business of what IT departments call hardware asset management, or HAM for short. Companies spend thousands of dollars on equipment for every employee, and they care a whole lot if you lose a machine, or if it breaks, or if it's running some software that's going to take down the whole network. Finance teams also need to account for things like depreciation and taxes. And here's the kicker. Most companies track this stuff by hand, and it takes a ton of time. Managing this is usually A painful process, but for over 20 years, Seattle-based Asset Management International, AMI, has been making software to simplify it. Their automated tools help companies of all sizes keep tabs on their equipment, from what's in storage to what's on your desk. They can even track stuff like medical equipment, corporate art collections, or construction tools. AMI's technology generates detailed reports and audits for the bean counters and ensures proper recycling of machines, which helps companies reduce their carbon footprint. Gone are the days of lengthy inventories and misplaced equipment. Any company that wants to reduce their IT person's daily headaches should get a demo from the folks over at AMI. Just visit www.amitracks.com. That's AMITRACKS.com, or visit the link in the show notes. Grahamites, those who followed Sylvester Graham, were strictly opposed to self-love. They were against choking the chicken, shaking hands with the milkman, orbiting Venus, cuffing the carrot, badgering the witness. They were anti-drilling for oil. They were against beating the bishop, doing the five-finger shuffle, holding your sausage hostage, going fishing with the man in the boat, adjusting the antenna, applying the handbrake, polishing the pearl, playing tug-of-war with Cyclops. And therefore, they implemented this bland diet because it supposedly helped the body resist the urge. It's important to note that Sylvester Graham did not invent the graham cracker. Some people throughout history have claimed he did, but he did at least inspire it. As I stated earlier, he thought unhealthy eating led to sin, and he thought that lust was sin. To Graham, physical lust harmed the body and resulted in things like consumption, spinal diseases, epilepsy, insanity, and headaches. The way to suppress these physical, lustful urges was to eat a bland diet made of vegetables and graham bread, which was made of coarsely ground wheat flour. Apparently, to this guy, when you sifted flour, it made for more sexy time. Same with if you drank tea or coffee, or had any type of sugar. So for this reason, the people that followed Grahamism ate a diet that consisted of lots of coarse flour foods, including a recipe for crackers made from coarse wheat flour. It was a mild, unsweetened flat biscuit made with unbleached flour with bran and wheat germ added. These became known as graham crackers. Even Oberlin College in Ohio adopted the graham diet for a time to remove sexual temptation and other potential sins from students. So during that time, a professor at Oberlin was fired because he brought a pepper shaker to the dining hall. Crazy. Eventually, the students revolted against that and they reversed their Grahamism diet. Sylvester Graham died young at the age of 57. The last 2 decades of his life were spent preaching against masturbation, which he called self-abuse. And here's a fun fact for you. One of Graham's adherents was a man named John Kellogg, who was the superintendent of the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan. He took the Grahamite diet to his patients, and along with his brother Will, was working on creating a graham bread meal for his patients. The story goes that he left the bread out too long and it never softened, but instead came out crispy and flaky. His brother Will saw an opportunity. Now Kellogg's is an $18 billion company thanks to Corn Flakes, the ultimate in anti-masturbation cereals. So the answer is yes. Part of the reason graham crackers were invented was to keep sinful Americans from practicing the old menage a moi. The internet says it's true. Now's the part of the podcast where I call a friend, see if they already know what we just learned. Today we are calling back my good friend Eric Dittelman. Eric is a mind reader extraordinaire, television star, editor, funny man, joke writer for my Joke Story Trick show, and I'm happy to have him back on the show.
Hey, Eric, how are you?
Eric?
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. This is, what does this make, 3 or 4 appearances? Probably more than that.
Yeah, I'm going for the Hall of Fame record.
Well, I keep getting voicemails saying, when are you bringing Dittelman back on your podcast? Unfortunately, they're talking about Tell Me What to Google. Not the internet says it's true. So
This is my first time on the new title.
That's right. This is your first appearance on The Internet Says It's True. And for the first question, we're playing for 3 Twitter followers. So
I could use 3 Twitter followers.
if you get it wrong, you have to get me 3 Twitter followers. If you get it right, I have to get you 3 Twitter follers. The best
Can I just
ones
unfollow you and then follow you again?
That doesn't count as one.
As...
No, you need 3 that are not yourself. And they can be like your family. You know, you can be like, "Hey, Mom, you mind following Michael?" That'd be totally cool with me.
My mom does not have a Twitter.
That's probably a good thing. All right. So this one's a multiple choice.
Okay.
Graham crackers were invented for which of the following weird reasons? Ooh. A, to help keep people from masturbating. B, to keep people from drinking alcohol. C, to keep people from going to hell. Or D, all of the above.
Wow. I want to say D just because it seems like it's so out of left field. But these all seem like sins, I guess. So is it something religious related? I'm going to go D, all of the above.
You are correct. That is a great answer. All of the above. They were created for all of those weird reasons by a weird dude who basically started an anti-science cult out of religion.
Wow.
So you are going to have to figure out which 3 new followers are the ones that I got you. Your next 3 followers, we'll say, are because of me, and not John Cena, who followed you today.
Yeah.
That one I wish I could take credit for, but that happened organically, and I am jealous. Question 2.
Okay.
For question 2, if you get it right, I will have to make the sound of any animal you choose. If you get it wrong, you have to make the sound of any animal I choose.
Are we picking the animals prior to the question?
No, you can have a little bit of time to mill on it.
Okay, great.
As everyone knows, a graham cracker is one of 3 simple ingredients to make s'mores. How heavy was the world's largest s'more?
Whoa.
A, 30 pounds, B, 67 pounds, or C, 267 pounds?
This is a horrible question for me because I'm terrible at estimating.
That's right.
I don't even know what 1 graham cracker or like 1 s'more would weigh.
That's right. Just think in your head, multiply 1 graham cracker by a whole bunch of people. That's the other thing, is we don't know how big it actually was. I'm not giving you that information.
Right.
So there's no math that can be done here.
And obviously a graham cracker doesn't weigh a gram. That's not where it gets its name.
No, that is correct. A graham cracker does not weigh a gram.
Give me the choices one more time.
30 pounds, 67 pounds, or 267 pounds.
30 pounds is like a cat, I guess.
That is a big cat, right?
2 cats.
2 cats. Okay. You're so bad at estimating.
Like, so I'm going to say it probably was more than a 2
My
cats.
medium-sized dog weighs 30 pounds.
There we go. So I'm going to say B, whatever that middle option was.
67 pounds?
67? That still seems light for a large, but I'm going to go with it.
Oh, Eric, you were right when your gut told you that it still felt light. The answer is 267 pounds.
What?
The Guinness Book of World Records, the largest
That's like
s'more.
3 cats.
It is May of 2014. A bunch of people in Pennsylvania got together, made a giant s'more, and so I think that it's fair to say I should make you make a cat sound. Wait, hold on. 2 cats.
That was 1.
Okay.
And the others.
There you go. One's angry that you didn't get the question right. The other one, question 3. If you get this one right, I'll send.
Yes.
Question 3. If you get this one right, everyone knows the stakes for the 3rd question. It's always, I will send you a tell me what to Google sticker in the mail. I've still got 200 of them left. If you get it wrong, you have to send me some sort of diddle swag.
Oh, I might be out of diddle swag.
Maybe one of your old buttons or something, if you can find one sitting around.
Either an old button or maybe a hand-drawn drawing.
That doesn't count. You can't just draw something.
What if it's of me and I'll sign it?
You can just make a sketch and be like, Howard Stern drew this on the blah, blah, blah show of AGT. And then, no, Okay. In the song Music Box by Eminem from his Relapse Refill album, he raps about flavoring his favorite graham crackers with what? A. Mom's spaghetti. B. Taco sauce. Or C. John Benet Ramsey.
So I don't think I know the song. I know Eminem. That's a little bit. Mom Spaghetti is in his 8 Mile song. So it's not that one.
Yeah.
B, I'm going to go taco sauce.
Taco sauce. In the song Music Box by Eminem from his Relapse Refill album, he raps about flavoring his favorite graham crackers with, you think, taco sauce.
Yes.
Unfortunately for everyone, the answer was John Benet Ramsey.
No, why?
I know. Horrible. Absolutely horrible, first of all. But here are the lyrics. Quote, like a Thanksgiving... And listeners, this is not me saying this. This is Eminem's voice saying this. Like a Thanksgiving turkey or holiday ham, cinnamon sprinkled on toast, strawberry marmalade jam. So far, so good. Sounds delicious. That was me. Back to Eminem. Quote, flavor my favorite graham crackers with John Benet Ramsey. I guess a modern-day Jack the Ripper is all that I am.
Oh, no. That's problematic.
It is problematic, worse than Cardi B and Lil Nas X combined.
I don't know if you talk about this in your rest of the episode, but I learned graham crackers are used in mock apple pie.
No, I didn't talk about this in the episode. So what is the difference between apple pie and mock apple pie?
Mock apple pie doesn't use apples. It uses graham crackers to simulate the texture of apples.
Well, that's nothing close to an apple.
I guess in this recipe, it is.
Maybe
it works.
That makes sense. I mean, if you add maybe some apple flavoring, like apple juice or apple sauce.
I don't think so.
No,
I think
just no apples. This is for people who can't eat apples.
It's just the brown sugar and everything else.
And cinnamon, I guess.
Is so more prominent that you just get the texture of the apples.
I can't imagine that. I'm going to have to try this sometime because I'm a big apple pie guy. I love apple pie, but I've only ever made it with apples. So... wow, interesting. So what do they make for the crust? I feel like it'd be very similar to the graham crackers. You couldn't do a graham cracker crust if the apples are graham crackers.
You lost me there. I'm a cake guy.
Okay. Question 4. For this question, oh wait, what were our stakes for that? Oh, you have to send me some Beatle swag.
A drawing.
A drawing. Okay, fair enough. For this question, if you get it wrong, you have to work in a phrase of my choice in your next online virtual show.
Oh boy.
If you get it right, I have to work in that same phrase. Podcast or show. You can do it in your next podcast if you want.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. The phrase will be, quote, shimmy on down.
Shimmy. I'm writing this down.
Yeah. Shimmy on down is the phrase. So yeah, you've got to say shimmy on down in your next podcast with Matt or in your next virtual show, wherever you think that it would be the best. And if you can, if it's your virtual show, get us a clip. If it's your podcast, I will. We'll make sure we listen. So
sure.
If you get this wrong, you'll.
That was assuming I get this wrong, though. I'm
if
trying
you
to get this right.
If you get it right, if you do get it right, I will use that same phrase in my next podcast. Shimmy on down. Who is the leading company of graham crackers today? Is it A, Pepperidge Farm, B, Honey Maid, or C, Kellogg's?
That is
I will be shimmying on down in my next podcast because you, sir, have gotten this right. It is Honey Maid. Yes.
I'm celebrating.
Unfortunately, it's an incorrect answer because Honey Maid is not the name of the company. The parent company... No, I'm just kidding. It's Honey Maid. There is a parent company, but you wouldn't know. I didn't recognize the parent company name. So that is a correct answer. And then question 5. This one is for all the marbles. If you get this wrong, I'm banning you from the show, never to be asked on again.
Wow.
Eric
if I get
Dittelman.
it right, do I get actual marbles?
If you... all of them, apparently. All of the marbles. I will go to every antique store in the world and find old jars of marbles. I'll be like Mouth in the Goonies, or no, it's Data in the Goonies. I'm spitting them out of my mouth.
Yeah,
that's what I always think of when I think of marbles. But those aren't even marbles. I always just think of Marble Mouth, and it's like coming, like hitting against your teeth as they come out.
I
And the
think
lady
of
yelling,
Toodles.
"Ay, Dios mío, ay, Dios mío." No sign, no pin, no escribir, no escribir. All right.
I think of Toodles from Hook, who lost his marbles.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find the marbles and we'll give them to you. If you can tell me the answer to this question. Eric Dittelman, what is currently inspiring you?
Whoa, that was out of left field. I wasn't expecting that.
That's where the marbles are.
What is currently inspiring me? The light at the end of the tunnel from this pandemic, and live shows hopefully returning full force soon. So that's inspiring me to get back and working on my live show. That's not selfish, is it? Does that come across? No. I think that's just inspiring, right?
That's a correct answer. We'll take it as inspiring. It's not selfish. No, because if you're doing it, everyone else is doing it too. Makes it not selfish. I myself am going back on stage this weekend in Erie, Pennsylvania at Keller's Magic and Comedy Club. And I'm going to be honest, man, I'm scared shitless. I haven't done my act in a year. So you did some stage shows last year.
I did some stage
Like some
I just
social
did a
distant
trip
things.
as well this past couple weeks ago, a week ago.
Jeez.
And yeah, just you'll definitely feel rusty, but power through, and it'll all come back to you.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm taking all day on Thursday to just go over my show. I'm going to literally set up the show in my living room and sit and just try to figure it all out and remember everything about it. Thank you for joining us, Eric Dittelman. People can learn about you at ericdittelman.com. That's Dittelman. Also, you can find him in the Mind Over Magic podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, with his friend Matt Franco. It was great having you on again, man.
Thanks for having me. This was a blast.
That's all for this week. Thanks for enjoying our first bonus episode. Man, this was fun. I don't know how often I'm going to do bonus episodes, but I hope to keep doing them for you. Maybe one a month. I don't know. Leave a review of the podcast on iTunes, on the real podcast, not the bonus version, and be like, hey, you should have heard the bonus episode. And then you'll be in the secret club. It'll be awesome. The internet says it's true. Would like to thank the Patreon subscribers whose monthly contributions put them at producer status. Sean Brown, Catherine Morgan, Taylor Hurt, Bryce Swanson, Mitch Joseph Kimplin, Alex Zakalik, Eugene Anderson, Mac McVeigh, Jim and Joanne Martin. The show is written and produced by me, Michael Kent. The theme song is by Finite Music Forge. And all audio clips in this episode are used for education and commentary and used under Fair Use, Title 17, USC, Section 107. You can listen to past episodes by searching for The Internet Says It's True wherever you get your podcasts. And you can see bonus content at patreon.com/Michael Kent. But you already know that, don't you? Have a good week.